Okay, so this is part two of the going over multiple choice questions. There's 9 left. You can do it. So this one asks, on what basis did Lincoln argue that secession and the establishment of the Confederate States of America had no legal foundation under the Constitution of the U.S.? Did he say that once the states ratified the Constitution, they forever surrendered their power to the federal government? Maybe. Did he say that the Constitution, which formed the Union, represented the collective will of the people and could not be destroyed by the state legislatures? That sounds better. They don't surrender all their power, right? They just surrender some, and there's this federalism where there's a sharing of power, but you can't destroy the Union if you're one or several states. Did Lincoln claim that secession, designed to preserve slavery, was an immoral act? He did not. As we talked about earlier, he was trying to save the Union even if he didn't have to get rid of slavery at first. But that changes after the Emancipation Proclamation. And then D, that Southern legislators had committed fraud and other crimes to win election. No, that was not what he claimed at all. So answer B. Okay, number 8, which group most strongly supported the idea of an early end to military reconstruction? Recent immigrants? No, they wouldn't really care. Radical Republicans would not want to end military reconstruction. They want to continue it and make sure that things were equal between blacks and whites. Southern Democrats, yes, they would want an early end to military reconstruction. So C looks like the answer. Sharecroppers, no, they would want the federal troops in there to protect them. So the answer is C, Southern Democrats. Which event best marks the end of the Reconstruction period in the South? As we know, it's when the federal troops pull out. So let's see what answer choice gets at that. All Southern states have met the requirements set by Congress for statehood. No, that doesn't end Reconstruction. Grant chose not to run for a third term, does not end Reconstruction. Radical Republicans decided Reconstruction was a failure and a waste of government funds. That doesn't end it. Republican Rutherford B. Hayes made a deal, right? There's this compromise of 1877 in order to defeat Democrat Samuel Tilden in the presidential election. And part of the deal was that the federal troops would be pulled out in exchange for letting the Republicans retain the White House. So answer choice is D. Number 13, what was the most significant economic impact of immigration in the late 1800s? So factories had a steady supply of cheap labor. Yeah, that would be it. That's why lots of people are coming in. They have better opportunities than in Europe or Asia or wherever they're coming from. Immigrants don't have much money, so they can't invest it to start new businesses. Farm production does not increase, and demand for manufactured goods would in fact increase because you have more people. So answer is A. Which best explains the objective of the Lewis and Clark expedition? They're going to investigate the territory that Thomas Jefferson purchased from Napoleon, the Louisiana Purchase. So they're not trying to navigate the Rio Grande River. That still is in the possession of Mexico. Well, Spain at this time, but Mexico is about to declare independence from Spain. They're not trying to destroy the power of American Indians. They're not trying to defeat the French because they bought Louisiana territory from them. And so it's mapping and exploring the territory. And that is the answer. So D would be the answer there. Number 15, what artistic trend reflected a growing sense of nationalism? People feeling like they're all part of the same country in the 1820s and 30s. U.S. painters offered affordable portraits and U.S. landscapes to the public. If it's affordable, that's going to be good, and that's going to make people feel good about the country. So A sounds good there. If U.S. authors wrote novels that glorified the sophisticated British society, that's not going to make people feel good about the United States. That's going to make them feel like we wish we were like the British. So B is out. Uncle Tom's Cabin, is 1852, so it's not in the 20s and 30s, and it also isn't a growing sense of nationalism. It, in fact, helps tear the country apart and leads to the Civil War because there are different feelings about it in the North and the South. And Currier and Ives designed and sold greeting cards featuring unique seascapes. that may be true, but A is a much better answer choice. So it's going to be A. Even though we haven't explicitly studied that, you now know that there are painters offering affordable portraits and landscapes to the public in the 20s and 30s. And that contributes to a growing sense of nationalism, which also connects with winning the War of 1812. What topic did the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, the Hartford Convention, and the Webster-Hayne debate over tariffs have in common? We haven't studied the Webster-Hayne debate. You can Google that if you want to get details on that, but you can do it just from the Virginia and Kentucky revolutions and the Hartford Convention. Both those were attempts by certain states to pull away from the Union. And so they are claiming they have states' rights to, in Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, not enforce the Alien and Sedition Acts. And at the Hartford Convention, the New England states wanted not to support the War of 1812. So it's not preservation of the Union, it's not individual liberties, and it's not economic policy. So the answer is states' rights. Who is most associated with education reform? In our study guide, it mentions this, but Horace Mann is the reformer associated with that. Both Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Stanton are for women's suffrage. And Theodore Weld, we haven't studied, but he is a abolitionist. And so if you see his name show up, know that he is like William Lloyd Garrison, trying to reform the country and that he wants to get rid of slavery. Okay, one more question. And here's our good friend, William Lloyd Garrison. In what way did the Liberator, the newspaper that he published, increase sectional tensions in the antebellum? Ante means before, so before the Civil War, United States. Did he insist that westward expansion would destroy the traditional culture of America? No, he cared about slavery. Supported the institution of slavery? No, he didn't support slavery. He opposed slavery. He's a big abolitionist. So you need to read the rest of that question there, or that answer choice. C, he insisted the values of Western farmers were superior to those in the East. He's not about East-West, he's about slave, non-slave, and about getting rid of slavery. So C is out. So it's going to be D, but let's look at it. Garrison angered Southern slave owners, that sounds right. By condemning slavery, that sounds right. On moral grounds, yep. And demanding immediate emancipation and racial equality. That is William Lloyd Garrison. And so the answer there is D. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.